Hello, friends, and welcome into another weekly update from our team here at North Carolina Family Policy Council alongside Jerry Royal. We've got a lot to get to today for the week ending on December the 19th. And Jerry, it's just a few days left until Christmas.
Yes.
Are you ready?
This is what I'm trying to learn when people, because people, it's a good question to ask people, but I'm kind of going, I'm trying to learn to be ready every day to celebrate Jesus.
I like that. That's good. I never know how to answer people when they ask that question, like, are you ready for Christmas? Like, as ready as we're going to be. All right. Speaking of being ready, you were down at the building of the North Carolina General Assembly a lot this past week. They were scheduled to be in the building Monday through Thursday of this past week. How'd that go? Tell us more about what happened in the building this week. Do we have a budget?
Well, that's obviously that is the big question.
Yes.
Which I know we're all hopeful and really need to be praying that they can work through the differences. The end of last week, some of the House leadership, once again, had some communication trying to encourage things to move along. So we were hopeful that maybe something would happen this week. Unfortunately, that was not the case as it related to the budget. Some members did come for some committee meetings. And, you know, some of these are issues we don't follow closely, but as we all know, pretty much everything's interrelated.
Sure.
And so it was helpful to hear what they had to say. One of the most, I don't want to say high profile, but a meeting that they're trying to follow up. We remember a little while back the tragic death on the rail system in
Arena's
Charlotte.
law that they passed. Yes, sir.
Exactly. And so people are kind of going, well, what does that mean? What needs to happen in our system of government to help prevent things like that from happening again? A large part of the discussion in that committee meeting this week, and they're continuing to study this area, is quite honestly, they pointed to not just that situation, but the mental health crisis across our state. Came in with over 2 hours presenting information from Health and Human Services, from law enforcement, trying to say, what is it that's happened? How did we get here? Well, a big part of the message was, again, not just within the criminal activity in our state, but statewide. There is a mental health crisis as far as people needing mental health care and the fact that there are not enough people to address that need. And again, I know we don't want to get too much in the details of it, but I didn't realize how many people are involved with this. One of the presenters talked about in one of the areas, they've hired over 2,000 people this past year, but they've lost over 2,000 people. So there's a big turnover in that specific area. But bottom line is, you know, I think we all know with what's going on in society and other things, it's always an issue, but apparently right now it's a crisis. I think the word crisis is not an overstatement as far as mental health is concerned. So that was one of the committees that we, go ahead.
There were a couple others as well.
Yeah.
One on blockchain technology, another on property taxes. That affects nearly everybody in the state of North Carolina. Tell us how those went.
Yeah, you know, in the blockchain, it was interesting. One of the presenters on that, because quite honestly, I'm still trying to learn, what does that word mean? What is this? I'm still trying to learn that.
It's a good question.
But one of the presenters said, well, if y'all remember, and he said, I think 25 years ago when we transitioned from paper. And I'm going, okay, yeah, still, some of us still use it, maybe more than we should, but just helping people see how is this going to be used by our government and others as far as technology is concerned. That one I didn't, pick up as much for our application. The other one that ties in with the budget issue you raised about working through how do we agree on this $32.6 billion budget for this year is the legislature's now trying to say, how can we address the issue of individuals' needs in far as, and I know one of the charts they showed, as far as the income level for people over the last number of years, and then the valuation or the amount that you pay for property was going like this. Yes. And you're kind of going, those two don't work together well.
Right.
And so what can, in this case, it has to do a lot with local governments.
Yes.
But again, one reason we're sharing this with you is to help, I know it helped me and help all of us see the process of state and local government, the interactions.
Right.
They're all important. They're very complex. There are no simple solutions like to the Charlotte situation or to the property tax situation. But that's what's encouraging to see that God has raised up people to serve in elected office to help work through these. and we try to bring this understanding back to the work that we do.
Right,
here.
absolutely. Well, to answer the question that we asked at the very beginning of this segment, yes, there still is a budget. It's just not a current fiscal budget. We are still operating, the government is still operating, and handling some very important things. The other thing to mention is that today, as we're recording this on Thursday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, but Friday, December the 19th, is the end of filing season. We've had hundreds of people file for positions of elected officials across the state, everything from U.S. Senate, hundreds, if not thousands, of people have filed for office. We're monitoring many of those positions, and of course, in 2026, we'll release an extensive voter guide that will tell where many of these candidates, as they go through the process, where they stand on particular issues that you care very deeply about. So you can look forward to that coming out in 2026. The Lumbee Recognition Act was included in the National Defense Authorization Act, which the Congress passed earlier this week. And at the time of this recording, we're not yet sure whether he signed it or not. We're recording this on Thursday, but President Trump is scheduled to sign it on Thursday, yesterday, if you're watching this on Friday. So our concern is not necessarily with the recognition of the Lumbee tribe as a federal recognition. Our concern, and has been for quite some time, is the recognition of them on federal grounds without an expressed way of saying that they cannot operate casinos on tribal territory. Many times that amendment has been in the bill or wherever this was mentioned. It was not this time. And both houses of Congress passed it, and the president is scheduled to sign it. So
this is a good example, and I know we've shared this with y'all in recent weeks, and we appreciate your participation in that. As we mentioned, and when we talked about it, this bill was thousands of pages long.
yeah,
And it, obviously, from the title, the primary purpose of it was defense appropriations. And everybody is for that. I mean, I think there's a lot of bipartisan support. But then what this is can be, I don't want to say the unfortunate or reality of government, is you got thousands of pages related, a lot of it related to our national defense, yet in that is the Lumbee Recognition Act. And so the idea of getting in that process and amending this provision within that, we were hopeful, but unfortunately, this is it didn't end up happening. The bill came on through. The recognition does not have that prohibition on the gambling activity for the Lumbee. But again, this is where we all need to continue to work together, regardless of the outcome, because sometimes it does make a difference and leads to a different outcome.
correct. Of course, once again, we are not, nor have we stood in the way of or in opposition of federal recognition. Our deeply held concern for a long while now has been on the expressed ability for them to operate gambling facilities on tribal territory. So we're going to continue to encourage the Lumbee and the powers that be not to do so because of the harm that it would cause to families, not just on tribal territory, but in the surrounding areas throughout the Carolinas. He's coming to town. He's coming to town.
There's a song it had something
kind
about
of not that
song.
not that one. President
which
Trump,
is of course not what Christmas is all about. But there is a song.
Right, that's right. It's about the birth of Jesus, our Savior. President Trump is coming to North Carolina today. As you're listening to this, Friday, the 19th, he's coming to Rocky Mount. Of course, there's speculation about why he's coming to town. Of course, this is where the 1st District in the recent redistricting battle that ensued in the North Carolina General Assembly. I assume candidate for U.S. Senate Michael Whatley will be with him, along with several other people who are running for office. So we'll pay attention to that. It's always a big deal when the president comes to your state.
It is. And of course, we're nonpartisan. We work with everybody, Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
But as you're saying, Mitch, apparently this is part of what we've heard. that President Trump does plan on being very much involved in these elections that are coming up.
Yes, sir.
And this is maybe an example of that.
We'll see how that moves through, and as time goes on, we're still just a few months away, a long months away, but short months away as well from the primary in March, and then of course the general in November of 2026. We'll keep you up to date with all those details as they progress, as well as things that happen in the building. Thank you, Jerry, for being down at the building this week to listen to more about blockchain and all of the things that go on there, as well as many other issues that are impacting the state of North Carolina. On behalf of Jerry, me, Mitch, Anna Scott behind the camera, and the rest of our team here at North Carolina Family Policy Council, thank you for watching our weekly update videos. We look forward to celebrating Christmas with many of you throughout the remainder of this year and into the new year as well. God bless you, and we hope that you have a wonderful day.
Have a blessed Christmas.